everybody, welcome back. In this section, we're going to install PostgreSQL. PostgreSQL is a relational database that basically is basically one of the best databases out there, and it works with Ruby on Rails, and that's pretty much the better database to use instead of SQLite. So please do not use SQLite, even for practicing. Just use Postgres, okay? Now I want you to go to postgresapp.com. That's with one S. Postgresapp.com. Just make sure you spell this correctly. And I want you to have a look at it. In the first page when you go to, you'll see the installation process of the Postgres app. So this, you basically download it and you verify it, initialize it, and it also comes with a graphical user interface where you can click on one of those. You can use either or, but I prefer PG Admin because it's open source and it's free. Postico is also free, but you can only have one project, like one database. And there's a one-time fee for $39 or something like that. But I prefer to use PG Admin, and I encourage you to use PG Admin, but you can also download Postico, and we'll do it as well, okay? So they're both awesome, and they're both great. So, and you might run into issues with PG Admin or something like that, and you might want to do this differently and use Postico or vice versa. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to install, here, this is just a graphical interface, but in fact, you can install the Postgres app by clicking on Downloads. And right now, as of June 2000, as you can see, I've already downloaded these two. Let me just clear that. As of June 2020, right now, this is the stable version. So you also want to read your Mac OS that, it requires you have a 10.12 minimum. Just, have a read. And yeah, so we're going to get started now with installing it with Brew, because that's what I'm used to in the past. And it worked perfectly fine with PG Admin. But I think I just want you to make it clear to you that initially in this introductions part, this here is not Postgres. This is just a graphical interface, and this app here, the Postgres app, is Postgres, but it comes with the easeability of being able to just click on an icon, and you can see your server is running on which port and whatnot, and the databases. But it doesn't give you the details of databases. Now, the details of the databases is inside of the graphical interface, all right? So that said, I actually want to just go ahead and I can go ahead and download this and download the graphical interface, the PG Admin as well, and do a test, develop, maybe create a new Rails application and just have a go at it. But I think it's probably a better idea to. Yeah, so let's go with the flow. Let's just download the graphical interface. But for now, I'm actually going to use terminal to install to install it. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to use. Should I guess you know what I'm going to. Yeah, I'll use terminal to install. And if I make mistakes, guys, I'm also learning with you at the same time because I don't often make these installations. But yeah, we'll install it with Brew, and then we'll go ahead and download the graphical user interface as well. But the only issue with that, every time you launch the server, you're going to want to run something like Brew services start Postgres. Which is fine, but I think maybe let's just grab this Postgres app and download it. Okay, so let's click on downloads, and I'm going to click on this here. Because I have a 10.13, I have the Mac OS Sierra, so I qualify to get the PostgreSQL 12. So I'm going to download it, okay? So that's going to download, and I'll just pause the video, and I'll come back as soon as that finishes downloading. Hey, everybody. Okay, so we just finished downloading the Postgres app. I'm going to click on Show in Finder, and I'm going to double-click on it, and it's going to start verifying itself. And once that happens, it's going to ask to drag it over to the applications, and I will. So I drag. Oh, I have an older version. Okay, so I'm going to click on Replace. Yeah, because I had already downloaded it earlier, and that's okay. You're not going to have that older version of it. So for you'll be able to just drag it over, and it will be fine. Okay, so now I'm going to stop that. Close this. So now we just want to know what's happening first, right? So we want to click on Finder again and click on the applications. And if we double click on Postgres, it should open. It should start verifying, right? So I'm going to close this window. So I'm just going to pause it. Okay, so it says, I'm going to say open. Okay, so check updates automatically. I'm just going to say don't check for now. So over here, you can see this is like the PostgreSQL. So I'm going to click start, and that's it. So that's the server settings. Leave them alone. It's going to be import 5432. And just leave that alone. You don't have to touch that. Now, Postgres template 1 and like these things they come by default. Postgres database and a template, and then your username. You'll see your username. It'll have database as well. So what I'm going to do now, I just also want to know on the right, in the top right corner, you'll see like the little elephant from the side. Okay, from the side. So that's Postgres. Okay. So I'm going to close this, but again, this is an app installation, so a lot of things can go wrong depending on your versions or maybe something in the past you've done to your system, and just letting you know that the native way is Brew services start Postgres to start to start your database. To start Postgres, but since we didn't install it with Brew. We did not. We did. This is it's an app installation. So we can't. We're not going to do that command. It's probably going to say command not found. So if you want to do these commands with Brew, then you should have installed it with Brew install PostgreSQL. And we may have to do that. We may have to do it to override this, just in case. Okay, because this is just at the end of the day, this is an ease of having a graphical interface of seeing our databases, not seeing the tables or the details, just seeing the databases and seeing some of the server settings over here. That's all that is, right? But it is PostgreSQL, okay? But the installation is different. So I'm going to close this now, and I'm going to move on to the next section here in the introduction, and I'm going to come down and download the PG Admin 4, and it should totally take us to take us directly there. Click on download. And over here, I'm on a Mac, so there's all these different operating systems like the Windows and Mac, but this is a PG Admin 3, so watch out for that. Make sure you use PG Admin 4. I'm going to click on the Mac here, Mac OS, and I'm going to click on the latest release, which is the stable one, 4.22 for May 28, 2020. You may have to, if you're watching this like a year from now or something, you're going to choose the latest one, okay? As long as it's compatible with your version of your Mac operating system. All right, so I'm going to click on that. That's going to start downloading. No, okay, I have to choose the pgadmin.dmg. So I'll click on that as well, the .dmg. And that's going to start downloading. I'll come back in a minute. Hey, everybody. Okay, so we're back again. And so we have downloaded the PG Admin 4, and I'm going to just show in Finder. Now, this is the PG Admin 4, okay? Now, I'm going to double click on it, and okay, so I have to agree here. And yeah, so that's probably going to be a while. But just be careful here because we need to make sure to verify it, and it needs to open, and you need to double click on it. And you're probably going to be prompted for a password, which will be your Mac OS password. There'll be the password that you usually log into your computer. Okay, now in this section, don't skip this. Make sure you double click on it. Okay. And the verification process is going to start. And I think this could be long. It could be long. So I'm gonna pause the video. Yeah, if like with my Mac OS Sierra, just don't forget to grab it and to drag it over here because I have missed that in this tutorial. And please make sure that you grab it from here and you drag it right into the applications folder, okay? So do not forget to do that, because if you do forget, that means that later on, when you close the PG Admin, what's gonna happen is you will never be able to find your app again. So it hasn't been added there, okay? So you gotta make sure to grab it and to drag it over into the applications folder to make sure that next time when you want to launch PG Admin, you can launch it from the applications, okay? So don't forget to do that, okay? Now we'll continue back to the remaining of the tutorial because this is the part that I have missed. Okay, thanks. I'll just pause the video to, it was actually a good 10 minutes to verify it, okay? So it took some time. So I'm going to just click on open now. Once it finishes verifying, I'm just going to click on open. And oops, what happened? Yeah, so you should still have that screen there, and it should open the there. It should open another window over here, but on the top right corner you should see it here. Okay, so just give it a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds. Yeah. So now automatically, as soon as you clicked on open, that app launches local host. It launches 127.0.0.1 with the port, so 55530 browser. So the first thing you want to enter here is your MacBook user password. So whatever you use to log into your Mac. So this will give you access to the servers. Okay. So I'm going to type it in now, and that should let me in. Now, the second thing you want to be aware of right now is that on the top right corner, you're going to see those two little icons, right? The one on the left here, this icon that you see from the face, the big elephant, like this icon here, that's the PG admin. That's the user interface. And on the right, this is Postgres itself. And as you can see, it's running. PostgreSQL 12, it's green. It's got a check mark. It's running. And now this you can just leave alone for now. We're not going to shut no servers down. We're just going to leave it alone. Now, if you click on the servers, it should. Oh, this is annoying. It should show us the databases and the table spaces. But what we're concerned about right now is the databases. So it says, hey, we got Postgres here. We got databases, and inside the databases, we have we got notes that this is the Postgres app. So inside the databases, we have Postgres and we have Thea tutorials. And it's not going to show you the template. Remember earlier? Now I'm going to tell you to open a Finder window. I'm just going to close this. Come to Applications and click on Postgres. This is the actual app that shows you the template and the Thea tutorials database and the Postgres. So it's not going to show the template because it's just a template. It's not actually a database. Okay, but you're going to see over here on the left, you're going to see that. So this is two different apps. The PostgreSQL 12, that's a Postgres app. And the PG Admin is the graphical user interface. Okay, so obviously if we click on Thea tutorials, you're going to see that there's no, on the schemas, normally if this was an application that we were building, you're going to notice that there's going to be tables. You'll see all the tables, like a user table, your spaces table, or your doctor's table, or whatever tables you've developed for your application. But here right now, when we click on tables, it's empty. It doesn't have a drop down. So now that's running. This is good news. But what we want to do now is we want to test that all this configuration is working. And since we didn't do brew install PostgreSQL, that might be a problem, and it might not. So depending on what situation you're in or what you find. So let's just do this one step at a time, right? So let's come back to terminal. I'm going to open terminal, and I'm going to type in Ruby-V, and it should say 2.5.1. I am not sure why that says that, but and let me type in because earlier I was working on a different. It's for you. It should say 2.7.1 as earlier. I'm just going to change mine because I was working on a different project earlier. So I'm going to do. You don't have to do this. If you're on the right Ruby version, just leave it alone. Okay. If you're in an old Ruby version, yes, you can. So I'm going to type in rben install. No, I already have installed that. So rben global 2.7.1. Okay, and I'm going to do rben rehash. You don't have to do this. Rehash. So that should. So I'm going to do ruby-v. So I'm on 2.7.1, and that's the version I want to be in. So I'm going to type in Rails-v to see my Rails version, Rails-v, and it should show me 6 point. Yeah, so that's my Rails version, because I already did the Rails gem install Rails 6.0.3.2. But I believe yeah, this is supposed to be what's the Rails 6.0.3.1. Okay, so let's do a Rails no, gem install Rails 6.0.3.1. So I'm just gonna run that, and I'm sorry, I know you guys are in the correct version and I'm not. Sorry, could not find a valid gem 6.0.3.2. That doesn't make any sense. Why is it doing that? I'm not sure why this is happening, but from yeah, it's a bit odd, because okay. So I suppose what did I do wrong? Oh my gosh. Okay, so Rails gem install Rails. I guess it's -v version -v. Okay, so gem install Rails -v 6.0.3.1. That should work. Successfully. Okay. All right. So I'll go Rails -v. Should show the latest version. Okay, so I have 6.0.3.1. All right, so I'm going to type in clear now. And what I want you to do, so you have the Ruby version 2.7.1, or you may be in a much newer version if you're watching this in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and create a Rails application for the purposes of testing the configuration of the database PostgreSQL that we downloaded from Postgres App and the PG Admin. Okay, so that's just purely just to test the configuration. Okay, so I'm going to do something like Rails. I'm going to just give it a name like my app, or Rails my app. Okay, or our app, Rails our app. No, Rails new our app. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna hit enter, and that's gonna install it's gonna install it inside the folder, your users folder. Normally I would create a projects folder and then change directory into the projects folder, but now I'm just doing this for oh, I forgot to put in the database. Oh, that's bad. That's okay. Let's just finish. Let's watch this. It's gonna finish installing itself, because by default it does the SQLite, and you don't want the SQLite. Like I said earlier, that was a mistake of mine right now. So that's just gonna install. It's gonna create a Rails application with an SQLite database, and once this finishes installing, I'm gonna remove it. Okay, I'm gonna remove it. So we'll just wait it out. Wait it out. I should have paused the video. Starting to worry. Okay, that's good. All right, so I'm gonna type in. You can do remove rm-rf our app, but I'm gonna just come to the Finder, and I'm gonna go to Go. I'm gonna click on go to folder. I'm gonna put the / like that. I'm gonna click on Go, and then I'm gonna go to Users, and from there to Tutorials, and I should see our app there. So I'm gonna just grab it and then drag it over to the trash. Okay, so I'm gonna type in clear now, and I'm gonna hit the up arrow key just to get to where we were. So it was Rails new our app, and For the database, I'm gonna go dash database equals PostgreSQL. Okay, and I hit enter now. So now it's going to create a Rails application with the PostgreSQL database. Now, if we run into any errors or any problems, that's because of we didn't install PostgreSQL with Brew. That's because we wanted the convenience of having the Postgres App icon and being able to click on it and see, what server we're in. It's nice to have that, So I know in the past I had installed several times. With PostgreSQL, with Brew installed PostgreSQL, Brew start services, that kind of thing, and then just just use it like that with PG Admin. But it's nice to have the icon to be able to just click on it like here in the top right corner and to be able to see everything, or even launch it from your applications folder. Oops. So that's gonna finish installing itself, and once we install, it's gonna finish creating the app, and then we're gonna change the directory into our app. Okay, so you'll see now in a second, and we're gonna have to create the database. All right, that's with every Rails application. Once you create the Rails application. And as you can see, there's no errors. There was no any errors. But if there was errors, it's a good idea to have a look at it and fix it. So I'm gonna obviously, like with every Rails application, once we create an application, you change into the application, right? So the application name is our app. So I'm gonna change directory cd space our app, and now we are in our app, as you can see here. Okay, so if I do an ls, you'll see all the folders there. That's awesome. To create the database, like before we run Rails server and run it locally, run the application locally, we have to create a database. And the database is already configured inside the the database name. It's by default Rails will give it a name. It will be our app underscore development and our app underscore test, our app underscore production databases, and we have to run this command. It's Rails db create. Okay, and that's going to create the database. So now we're going to know if this it's working all perfectly. If you run into issues. Okay, so the PG, okay, so we can actually grab all this and we can Google it, and we will, but I'll save you all the trouble. I mean, of course, there's many different ways to debug this and to fix it. We ran the correct command, Rails db create, and this command, didn't work because we have some issues with PG. So the best way to resolve this issue is to actually do a brew install PostgreSQL. So, all right, so I'm going to do a brew install PostgreSQL, just like that. And that should fix whatever issues we have. And it's a bit, like I said, we want it to have both worlds. It's going to update Homebrew, and then it's going to install PostgreSQL, and I guarantee you, once we run that command, that Rails create DB, we shouldn't have any problems at all. And as you can see here, I have the Mac OS. Oh yeah, Postgres 12.3. Okay, that's the same one we downloaded. Okay, so now if I run the same command, I'm gonna hit the up arrow key, the Rails DB create. Okay, there you go. Did you see what happened? The minute we ran Rails DB create, now we created a database, our app underscore development and our app underscore test. And our app underscore production, it's there, but it's not created because we're running now on our development environment. Okay, so now that these databases have been created, you're gonna notice something. I'm gonna do a Rails, first I'm gonna do a Rails, just to tell you it's working, Rails server. And once you first of all, we're inside our directory, our app, we run Rails server, we hit enter. And by the way, there's a lot of tutorials out there on how to install this, how to do this the right way. And the way we did it now is the right way. And it's, it does give you both worlds, and it's nice to have these two icons up here. It's nice to be able to, and now look, it's running on localhost 3000. So, you can literally just grab this, copy and paste it like 127. But all you gotta do is just open a new window, type in localhost 3000, and it should say, hey, we're on Rails. So you see, that's running. It's perfect. We're running on Rails version 6.3.2, and I can go ahead and I can tell you, of course, we could have changed this by going to the gem file and changing it to 6.0.2, 6.3.2.1. I mean. All right, so now let's go back to PG Admin 4. Okay, just to show you, there's going to be something interesting over here. When you click on the databases, that's interesting. Let's shut down. Let's stop the server. Okay, and let's we'll leave that open. We'll come to applications, then let's click on Postgres again, click start, and we should be able to, so these are the two, our app development, our app test. Now here, the reason why you can't see, I shut down the server, and I restarted it. But I just wanted to let you know, the reason why we don't see it here, I just didn't think about this quick enough, is because we haven't refreshed it. And what you want to do is click on the file, and there's always an answer to everything. You just click on refresh. It should be there. So now it's going to refresh. You can click on databases again. There you go. So now you have our app development and our app test. That's really good news. And I'm not going to be worried about our app tests for any of our tutorials in the future. But our app development, once you click on this dropdown, you're going to be able to see a lot of interesting things. But obviously, we're not going to see anything because we haven't made any models. We haven't created any tables. So normally, you'd come to the schemas, and you'll see here, it's where the tables are. So if you create a model I don't know, one-to-one or one-to-many relationship, one doctor has many patients, or many patients belong to one doctor, like this sort of relationship. You're going to create a doctor's table, you're going to create a patient's table, you're going to create a prescriptions table for prescriptions, you're going to create a hospital table. So these tables, these models, they would be inside here. And I said this earlier, I already talked about this earlier. So this was a pretty long video, and I hope you enjoyed going through the flow here with me. And I'm also learning with you guys as well. So I'm really happy to see that we have been able to successfully install PostgreSQL and the graphical user interface. But just before we call this the end for this tutorial, I'd like to just come back here, and I just want you guys to go back to the Postgres. I want you to just click back on the browser and go back to Postgres App. And I want you to download Postico, okay? I want you to download it. I know there's a fee that you can pay for, and I just go to Finder and then double click on Postico, and there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't have it. And once it doesn't automatically add to the applications, just open a new Finder window. All right, this is for the future, and in case you run into, click on applications, then grab Postico and drop it inside the applications folder. Okay, so I'm gonna just close these Finder windows. All right, so if I click on Postico now, you'll see the same thing. I'm gonna click open. It's gonna verify itself, and you'll see something different. It's the same thing. It's just a little different. It's gonna take maybe a couple more seconds to verify itself. Okay, then you just click on the app, and as you can see here on the top left corner, you got tutorials and Thea tutorials. So you can just click on this again on Thea tutorials. That's the user, and obviously we have two databases. We have our app development and our app test, and then we also have that default Postgres database, the template, and Thea tutorials. That's the default one that comes with the user. So if you click on our app development, you'll notice there's no tables. But if there was tables, you'd see them in like little squares, and that's a difference. And you could like click like this on it or like that, and you could view like materialized views. You can click again the discard changes. You can create tables. There's so many interesting ways to view a database other than just looking at it from a terminal. But I suggest that you do all of them. It's fun to work with databases, especially as a developer. Once you learn how to learn, this is so important. Once you learn how to learn, it's so easy to learn everything else. And there's a ton of tutorials out there. And I hope you found my tutorial useful so you can understand it. And regardless of what version of Mac you have or what version of PostgreSQL, now you kind of understand like the overall the way of how to like install this Postgres and the GUI. Well, thanks so much for watching the tutorial, guys and girls, and I'll see you guys in the next session on installing Visual Studio Code. Thanks. Have a good one.